I was looking for this scripture in Proverbs chapter 14. And as I was looking for it, I came across another verse that I never read before. And man, as I began to chew on it and dig into that one scripture, God began to open my eyes. And so in this video, I'm excited because I'm going to share with you what God shared with me. Walk with me. And who am I? I'm Billy Miller, the motivational minister. And they call me the motivational minister because I help people to improve their lives by teaching them life skills from the Bible. And listen, it's not going to take me that long to share with you what God has shared with me. As a matter of fact, let's get right into it. I'm going to show you that verse. It's Proverbs chapter 14, verse 10. I'm going to put it up on the screen. So look up at the screen right quick. I'm going to put it right there up on the screen. It says, when you are sad, no one else feels your pain. Take a screenshot of that. When you are sad, no one else feels your pain. And so each one of us has private struggles, private hurts, private pains that many of our uh, family, friends, co-workers, they don't see them. They can't comprehend them. And so what happens is a lot of times you're misunderstood. You don't get the support you need. You're often disappointed, discouraged, and it'll make you on the verge of wanting to give up. But listen to me, you can't quit now. I'm gonna say that again. You can't quit now. And as a matter of fact, I have a book that for you that I want to give to you just to encourage you before we get into this message. This is free, by the way. Just go to whateverdevil.com or look at in the description of this video and you can download that book. Because listen, you're not here by accident. And I'm here to encourage you that you can't quit now. And this message that I'm about to share with you, always going to bless you because you've been thinking it's just been the haters, but it's not that. Listen, it's Bible. Listen, when you are sad, no one else feels your pain. As a matter of fact, let me share a story with you one time. One summer, I was unemployed the whole summer. I'm talking about no work. I'm talking about August rolled around, September, still no work. October came. It's in the fall, and I still didn't have a job. It was as if God was telling people not to hire me or something. And so I had exhausted all of my efforts. I'm talking about any kind of assistance like unemployment, food stamps, any kind of assistance I have. I exhausted all of that. And my savings account, emergency fund, all of that depleted. And I'm in a desperate situation. And it wasn't until November of that year that I finally landed a job. I worked trained for 3 days, and then I remember that first day I was on my own, and I worked, and one of the supervisors came up to me and he said, "Hey, uh, do you mind staying a little bit longer?" I said, "Nope, I sure can." So the next day, they were short staffed. They came up to me and said, "Hey, can you work a double?" I said, "Yep, sure can." And the next day came. They asked me again. And guess what I said? Yep, sure can. And I did it so much every day that they didn't even all ask me no more. They see me and almost count me. Oh, I know he's gonna work a double. But one of the supervisors came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, don't let them burn you out, man." And I understood maybe he thought I was because I was new, maybe they was taking advantage of me. I said, "Oh no, I know I can say no." I said, "I want to work a double. As a matter of fact, you might have to pay me just to make me go home." And listen, this guy, the supervisor, he wasn't a hater. He wasn't somebody trying to block my blessing. He was being sincere, but he just didn't know my pain. I hope you're understanding it. See, he didn't understand my pain, so he didn't understand my effort. He didn't know my pain, so he didn't know why I was doing what I was doing. And he wasn't a hater, but guess what? There was some haters though. And I'm gonna tell you this right quick. This actually go with it. So I was working doubles every day. Now you got to know that because they're short, they're not just asking me to work a double. They're asking other people to work a double. And a lot of people said no. And some of those people that were saying no, some kind of way, me saying yes reflected on them, even though it really didn't. But in their mind, it's almost like They didn't want to put the effort. They didn't want the extra money. They didn't want to work overtime. But because I kept saying yes, some kind of way mentally, they thought it was reflecting on them and it was making them look bad. And so they had to find a way to discredit me to justify their lack of wanting to get involved. I hope that's making sense. It'll make more sense in a minute. And so I remember this one guy came up to me and he was like, "Hey, working all these overtime shifts," he said, "that doesn't create that doesn't make them to be loyal." And I know that sounds like that might be okay, but let me translate that for you. He's pretty much saying, ain't no need of kissing up, ain't no need of brown nose, and that ain't gonna help. And that's once again, that's somebody that don't know my pain. He think I'm here trying to kiss up, brown nose, and get in good with the bosses. No, I'm here because of my pain. You understand what I'm saying? I remember it was this other girl, and she was, we'll call her Keisha. She was just as ratchet and lazy and ghetto. And anyway, I remember she was trying to belittle me. And so she was saying, "Oh, Mr. Billy working a double. Oh, you got such a good heart. You such a good Samaritan." Right? She was trying to belittle me. And I kind of joked it off. I said, "Hey, I'm not that good. I'm not doing it off the clock. I'm clocked in." I tried to make light of the situation because I peeped what was going on. I said, "I'm not doing this for charity. I'm not working for free." But for some reason, and I'm not sure if you've ever experienced this, but for some reason, because of their lack of effort, they got mad of at my. As a matter of fact, I wrote it in a quote. Let me see if I here we go. Let me put it on the screen. Listen, you're gonna want to take a screenshot of this or write it down. Because I just wrote some nuggets down, and I'm gonna be throwing these nuggets out here. You just catch them as I throw them out. Look at this. This is something you better take this one. Don't allow people to belittle your effort to justify their lack of effort. Did you get that? Don't allow people to belittle your effort to justify their lack of effort. One lady was like, "Oh, why you working all this overtime?" I said, "Oh, I need extra money." Shoot, we all need extra money, but shoot, you try to make it sound like I was crazy for for doing what I want to do. Because listen, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be done with that part. Listen, whatever you do, don't allow people who are not paying your bills to make you feel guilty for doing whatever you have to do to provide for your family by any means necessary. Now, of course, I'm not saying do something illegal. I'm not saying to do something that's harmful for others or at the expense of others. But never allow anybody to belittle your effort to make them feel good about their lack of effort. Oh man, I hope you're chewing on that. Let me show you another quote here of mine. I'm put up on the screen. To belittle a person is to be a little person. See, while you're striving, while you're trying to remove pain, and the people who don't understand your pain are going to try to belittle you. Listen, to belittle a person reveals that you're a little person. And you can't allow this to happen. And listen, and another reason I wanted to do this message is because, like, everybody has haters. Everybody got people who despise them, people who are jealous or envy or try to sabotage. But one of the reasons I want to teach this message is because just because you don't see the support that you're looking for, just because you're misunderstood a lot of times you can't just throw everybody in that category of hater. Sometimes it's just people who just don't understand your pain. Listen, if I said anything you like so far, hit that like button. All right. And so let's get to the next part of this verse. Let's get to the next part of this verse and put up on the screen again. So look up at the screen. So we said, when you are sad, no one else feels your pain, which we talked about that. The next part, he says, and when you are happy, no one else, let me turn. When you are happy, no one else can really feel the joy. Check the scripture out now. When you are sad, no one else feels your pain. And when you are happy, no one else can really feel the joy. And I believe that these two, the first part of this scripture and the second part of the scripture, are connected. I believe that people won't celebrate you or feel the joy because they didn't see the pain. Does that make sense? So I think that people who wasn't there, who didn't experience your pain, they don't know your pain, they misunderstood your pain. They can't sell, they don't understand your joy. See, they didn't see your pain, they didn't understand your pain, so now they can't understand your praise. Chew on that for a minute. They didn't understand. Listen to this. Listen to this. Some people won't understand your breakthrough because they weren't there for your breakdown. Oh man, let me put that on the screen here. Oh, let me put that on the screen. Some people won't understand your breakthrough because they weren't there for your breakdown. Oh man, you got to get this. I remember when uh the first credit card I ever got was a Sears department store card. And I fell for a trap. You know, I didn't know about the fine print and the little hidden fees, and I got a whole story on that. I had to give you the details of that in another teaching. But just know it was costing me $100 a month, and I wasn't even using the card. So this was a burden. You understand? But so when I got a hold of learning how to get out of debt, and I remember when I had to go make my last payment on this Sears card, one of the worst cards I had, and it was my first one. I remember when I showed up to make the payment, man, I was there. I felt like everybody in there should have been celebrating. That's how excited I was about making this last payment. I felt like balloons should have went off. You know how you go in the store and they be like, "You're the 100th customer," and confetti goes going there and balloons and everything. That's how I felt like when I was going to make my last payment. I felt like everybody should have did. I feel like I should have walked down the aisle when it was my time to come. Like, oh, shoot, I'm here to make my last payment. I was like, "Bow!" I slammed that thing on the desk, and that lady just took my money and said, "Thank you. Next customer." I feel like everybody should have been celebrating, but guess what? She shouldn't have celebrated. She wasn't wrong for not celebrating. You don't want to know why? Because she didn't know my pain. I hope you're getting this. So everybody's not going to celebrate you. And like I said, it's not necessarily because they're haters. It's because they didn't know your pain. And like I said, there's gonna be some haters too, though. I remember when I bought my house. When I closed on my house, I was on vacation for a week so I could move in. And some people at work knew about it, and so they were celebrating me. They were like, "Oh, excited! Like, oh man, you know, Mr. Billy just bought a house." And they were showing pictures because my cousin worked there, so I was, sent her pictures. So she was showing people pictures and stuff. So when I came back to work, people were congratulating me on my house. But it was this one particular lady said, "Why you get your house so big?" Now, let me pause you right there. Listen, my house is not, I don't live in a mansion. I don't live in this humongous house. I mean, it's a nice house, it's a nice size, but it's not like a mansion. My front door is not double doors. If you know, you know. But it's a nice house. But she said, "Why you get your house so big?" And we was all talking, so I kind of ignored her at first. And because we was talking, a lot of people was talking to each other. But she swung around the block. She came back with that same question again. Why you get your house so big?" And I just looked at her in the eyes and I said, "Why not? Why not?" She couldn't answer. See, she didn't want to celebrate my joy because she didn't know my pain. See, she didn't know the pain I had when I was staying in an apartment. See, she saw my house, but she didn't see the tear stains on my pillow in the apartment. Did you hear what I said? She saw the house. She saw the house, but she didn't see the tear stains on my pillow in the apartment. Okay, I'm gonna let y'all chew on that. I'm gonna let you chew on that. Look at this scripture right here. This scripture will break it down even more. This is Psalms chapter 126, verse 6. This is the Good News translation. It says, those who wept as they went out carrying the seed will come back singing for joy as they bring in the harvest. Notice the scripture says, those who wept as they went out carrying the seed. You've been sowing seeds with tears in your eyes. But it says they will come back singing for joy as they bring in the harvest. And listen, people are going to see that harvest, but they're not going to see when you were sowing with tears. See, they wasn't with you when you was shooting in the gym. See, they wasn't with you when you was having to borrow money to pay money. They wasn't with you when you was living in the car. They wasn't with you when everybody left you. You see what I'm saying? They see your harvest, and what happens is because they didn't see your pain, they begin to judge your harvest. They'll judge your harvest and don't consider your seed. They see the story, but they see the glory, but don't know the story. Oh man, I hope this making sense to you. I said, I hope this making sense to you. And so everybody's not gonna appreciate, they're not gonna appreciate your manifestation. And a lot of times when you're in this sowing period, when you're in this private pains, this sacrifice, when you're going through this, a lot of times it's God preparing you for what's to come. God is helping you to become something, somebody, right? And let me put this right here. I like this, what a note that I wrote down. I'm gonna put it up on the screen here. It says God's private preparation often results in public manifestation. God's private preparation. See the seed is growing underground. Everybody don't see what's going on underground in the roots. They just seeing the harvest. And if you're not careful, you're going to allow somebody to talk you out of your dream. You're going to allow somebody to make you feel guilty for manifestation. And like I said earlier, listen, don't ever let anybody make you feel guilty for doing what you got to, because they wasn't there for your pain. They wasn't there for your struggle. Don't pay attention to people who ain't paying your bills. Here people ain't put not $1 towards your expenses, but they want to give you they 2 cents. That's why they don't make pennies no more. I was just playing. I was just playing. All right, let's go on. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. And so you have this 2 situations. You have your pain and you have your joy. And people are not going to understand your joy. They're not going to celebrate you the way you think because they didn't see the pain that you went through. Look at this right here. Like I said, I got some nuggets. I just wrote them down. Listen, take a screenshot. Do whatever you got to do. Look at this. Stop explaining your problems to people who don't have access to your purpose. Chew on that for a minute. See, you having some issues, you having some pains, and then when you try to tell people, you're going to tell certain people, but you telling people who don't have access to your purpose. Likewise, on the flip side, you be careful who you tell your dreams to. Don't tell your dreams to people who don't have access to the blueprint. They won't understand. They gonna think it's too big. Why you get a house that big? And so you may be saying, well, Billy, okay, I get the message. I get what you're saying. So does that mean we're alone? Does that mean, nobody, I'm by myself? No. There's some good news. Listen, there's some good news. Listen, stay with me. Stay with me. Come on, stay with me. There's some good news. We better break this thing on down a little bit more. So just stay with me. And listen, if this message has blessed you, listen, make sure don't just hoard the message up to yourself. Share, hit that share button, share with somebody so it'll bless their life too. Listen, God is aware of what's going on. Listen, we just read a scripture. That was a scripture. That wasn't an opinion. So is there somebody who knows your heart? Who knows your pain? Yes, God does have people for you. God created a person to be in your life that's going to know your pain. And listen, it might not be your mother, it might not be your brother, it might not be your children, unfortunately. But God will put somebody in your circle that sees your heart and knows your heart and knows your pain. And those are the people who are going to celebrate you when your harvest comes. I hope this getting to you. I hope this resonating with you. Let me show you a scripture here. Let's see. Look at this scripture right here. Proverbs chapter 18, verse 24, the contemporary English version says, some friends don't help, but a true friend is closer than your own family. See, some of your friends, you like I said, you got coworkers, you got friends, you got, classmates, you got a lot of people that you know, even church members. But a lot of them won't help because they don't see your pain. They don't understand your pain. They don't understand your pain. But God's gonna put somebody in. And listen, a man told me years ago, he said you can count them on one hand through your lifetime. You might have you be blessed to have five, but it might just be one. There's this one that God will put in your circle that's closer than your own family. And they the ones who gonna be shouting for you because they saw you, they knew your pain, they know your story. These are the ones we call, what you heard people call ride or dies. As a matter of fact, I'm watching this series on Amazon Prime called Ride or Die with what's the lady name? Octavia Spencer, I think is her name. It's actually pretty good. Ride or die. You have some ride or dies. Now, a lot of people say they ride or dies, but so I'm not talking about the ones who just claim that. But I'm talking about your actual ride or die. I always say this: my ride or dies are the people who was with me when I was walking. Chew on that for a minute. All right. And so look, let me look at this. Let me show you another scripture right here. One of my favorite ones, Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17. It's the contemporary English version as well. It says, just as iron sharpens iron, friends sharpen the minds of each other. These are the ride or dies. I ain't talking about them people that's your friends that's keeping score. Listen, real friends don't keep score. That was for somebody. I said real friends don't keep score. I do another whole teaching on that. I can spin off and do another whole teaching on just that. But you need to have this person that was there for you. This person who was with you when you were shooting in the gym. You follow me? This person who was with you when you didn't have nothing. This person who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. And maybe you're watching me and you're saying, Billy, I hear the message. I understand, but I don't have anybody in my life like that. Maybe you're watching me right now and you're saying, Billy, I've had friends and they've come and gone, and I don't have not even one person who has my back like that. What about me? Well, I got good news for you too. You can't forget about God. Come on, stay with me. Stay with me. Look at the scripture right here. It says, God does not see as man sees, or as human. Sorry. God does not see. I'm so used to reading the other translation. It says, God does not see as humans see. Humans look at outward appearances, but the Lord looks into the heart. The reason I want to show you the scriptures because your heart is where that pain is. The heart is where those private pains, the private hurts, those private struggles, and everybody don't see it. But guess what? God sees your heart, and God knows everything about you. And listen, if God is all you got, you have more than enough. And guess what? Eventually, you'll have, because He's gonna surround you with somebody. But if God is all you got right now, he's more than enough. Look at the scripture here. Proverbs chapter 44, verse 21, contemporary English Bible. I mean, no, I'm sorry, this is the common English Bible. It says, God knows every secret of the heart. So whatever you're going through, whatever those private pains, you crying at 3 a.m. Nobody knows about that. But God knows about it. He's about to turn your tears into diamonds if you'll just trust him. God hasn't forgotten about you. Listen, God saw you when you was sowing with tears in your eyes. He saw you. He felt your tears as you were sowing the seed. And if you just keep trusting him, if you just would not give up, listen, you'll come back singing for joy. Why? Because God is about to give you a harvest. Listen, I love you. Stay up, stay blessed, and always remember that the word is your life.